Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. I'm continuing to seed our field. We struggle a bit to get up this hill, so I wanted to try switching this tractor over to dual wheels and see if that helps at all. There we go. That's better. The default view with head tracking, I think, is too high. Like, I feel like I'm looking up at the ceiling half the time. In any case, yeah. So I'm going to take the T8 over and put doubles on it, and see if that helps us go faster on that hill. It doesn't look like the wheels are spinning, so I don't know if it's going to help or not. We'll see. Try not to get too close. I did this on my PlayStation where I tried to put dual wheels on a tractor and it crashed the game. 7,000. Cripes. That's expensive. All right. Well, it does look pretty beefy, doesn't it? Put our weight back on there. Let's see if I can get over there without knocking everything over. Now, if your vehicle is heavy enough, then I suppose having two sets of wheels will improve traction. But I bet there's probably a point where it would actually make it worse. Like if you have a vehicle that's fairly lightweight, you add a lot more surface area to distribute the weight over, and I don't know, it seems to me that at a certain point it might actually reduce traction, but let's see how it goes. Yeah, no difference. All right, well, I guess it was worth experimenting with, even if the result didn't come out very well. I'm going to stay with it here for a minute to make sure it catches everything when it gets up to the tower. I already finished off the part on the other side of this tower here. But I think it might try to stop short. Yeah. So I'll finish this. I'll do this part here myself. And we'll lift back up a bit. I'll try to take some of this off here. Okay, lower it back down, and I'll put the worker back on. There we go. Okay, and I'm liking how this field turned out. It's really quite big, and I actually kind of like having this pole in the middle. Gives it some character. Okay, so that's how we're looking now. I believe that we now own the largest single body of farmland available on the map. Field 6 looks pretty large. Oh my gosh. It's expensive though, and you have to buy a lot of you have to buy a lot of extra land all around it. One thing I noticed, let's go back here. Field 10. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry. I just wanted to jump out. Field 10 is a pretty big field. And I didn't realize this when I started on this map, but look at this. Look at this big expanse of relatively flat ground over here. This would be, I think this would be a great place to put an animal farm. You got this big field to grow stuff on, and then there's this big flat area, relatively flat. This probably would have been a better place to start than where I did. Yeah, and you can buy it for 530. So if I was going to start a new game on Felsbrunn, I would be tempted to buy Field 10 to start with, and build up the farm there. But anyway, speaking of building the farm, I've parked the Puma, parked the Harvester. We got our new tipper over there, which I'm anxious to try out. I do need to get in this guy so I can clean up the cow pen. They're making a bit of a mess again. And then I'd like to continue working on the farmyard, doing a little bit more terraforming and texturing. I hope to have more time available during the next week to make farm videos. I'm going to be on a bit of a break from Factorio. There's a new version of the game coming out, and I've just recently finished a series, so it doesn't make sense for me to start a new series until the new one comes out, I don't think. All right. So let's see what we got over here. All right, so we've got all this newly flattened land. We've got our silos of every description. That means I can sell these silos over here. So let's do that. Don't need those anymore. Yeah, the AIO station we're going to sell. And then we can sell one of the seed stations. And I'll sell the one that's 2 days old. It's hard to believe I only had that for 2 days. What am I supposed to do? Yeah, that one. Okay, good. So those are both gone, and it doesn't look like they messed up the terrain at all. Still got the same textures underneath there. Okay, good. All right. So now what I'd like to do is get another shed like this one, but I'd like to use the version with lights. So we'll have to figure out what is the best place to put such a shed. These ones with the garage doors I really like, but I tend to think of those as being more for parking vehicles rather than implements. I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. Like for tools, I kind of like just having this shed here. 3-sided shed looks a little small. Yeah, so let's look at the easy shed one with lights and see where we might be able to place this. Maybe back here. Yeah, I think that's going to be a good spot for it. Back here facing into the yard. Right, like that. It fits pretty nicely. Okay, but before we do that, let's take a look at the sheds, the big sheds. How big is the big shed? All right, I don't have quite enough room for that one. How about the 5-door version? I do have enough room for the 5-door version. Ah, but look at that. Looks like there's a spot there that's not been flattened. So let's see if we can fix that up. Okay, I'm gonna change. Yeah, right there. Okay, looks like we're good now. Let's do the nice shed with the doors. All right. Is that facing the right direction? Yeah, it is. Okay. Right, and I'm gonna snap it. You know what? Let's save the game here first, real quick. Okay, autosave is turned off still. All right, so I'm going to use the snap tool, just make sure I have a perpendicular angle, and we'll put it right there. All right, and let's see how that turned out. It looks nice. I like how it's a similar design concept to the cowshed. And there's a bird climbing down the side of it. Did it mess up? I guess that's fine. I do want to fix this a bit. And I'm pretty much out of money, which is unfortunate. All right. Yeah, so let's do some painting. And I think I want to do like that. Yeah, let's do this texture here to kind of clean up this edge. I don't think we would typically have asphalt going over the edge. There. See how that looks. And I think we need a little bit of smoothing there too. But yeah, I think that looks better. Okay. Pretty nice. So we can park vehicles in there or implements. I suppose either one. I'll wait for now, but when I have some more money available, then we'll come out here and fill out the rest of the yard with the grass texture. And then maybe here, well, I don't know. I'll figure out a place where we can put another one of those easy sheds as well. And then at that point, I think we'll be in good shape as far as our storage is concerned. Okay, I should turn autosave back on before I regret it. Okay, so the seating is proceeding. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but we still have to do field 18 as well. Did I fertilize 18? Oh, 18 needs lime also. Okay. So let's do that while we're waiting. Go get our lime spreader. Some good news, I suppose, is that, whoops. Stevie has put out his new map for testing. And what I mean is he put it out for us to download and test it. So I'm going to try to spend some time on that map to see how it is. And he said it's okay to stream it. He said stream specifically, but I'm sure he would be okay with a Let's Play as well, or a YouTube video. I mean, I wouldn't want to start a Let's Play on it yet, because I'm sure as a result of the testing, he's probably going to want to make some more changes. But but maybe after I spend some time on it, maybe I can make like a highlight video or something, just to show you guys the map and get your thoughts on it as well. And I'll go ahead and do this manually since there's not much else going on at this point except waiting for the fields to get seeded. Get over. Anyway, I haven't downloaded the map yet. I've been busy with other stuff, but I'm hoping to spend some time with it tonight. The pictures that I've seen so far look pretty nice. And I'm not sure if he was able to include all of the special production machines and stuff. On a lot of Stevie's maps, or maybe even all of Stevie's maps in 17, he always had stuff like, like potato washers and compost making machines, and like machines where you could drop off wood and it would make pallets, and then you could sell the pallets. Just lots of stuff to do and mess around with on his maps. That's one of the reasons I really liked it. Especially after playing for many hours, having those additional activities and different ways to make money really, I think, enhanced the game quite a bit. And most of his maps had pretty large fields. In 17, at least, you would always start off with just, an entire fleet of equipment. So you would start off with everything that you needed to do pretty much any activity you wanted to. He would typically start you off with some animals as well, sheep, cows, pigs already in the yard. So, you could just jump in and start doing it all. But for me, the mod that, besides having some good maps, I would say my number 2 biggest wish is for the Seasons mod to be released. For those of you who have never used Seasons, what Seasons did is, as you might guess from the name, it simulated the effect of the different seasons of the year in the game. So by default, you would start in spring, early spring, and you could set how many game days you want each season to last. So, so for example, if you have 6-day seasons, then you would have, or if you had a 6-day year, for example, then 2 game days would represent a whole season. I think 9 was the default, so you would have So the first 3 days would be early spring, mid-spring, and late spring, and then you would have early summer, midsummer, late summer, and so on. And so the weather would change depending on the season. The lighting would change depending on the season. The temperature. And then, depending on the crop, you would have to wait. It would simulate soil temperature as well as air temperature. So, and different crops have different temperatures that they need to survive. So very often you would have to, when you start a game, you would very often have to wait for the soil to warm up before you could plant anything. And that's always a good time to start with animals or, plowing your fields or whatever. It really added a huge amount to the gameplay. Prices were also affected by the seasons, so for example, if the, I want to try to get the very edge of this field. So for example, if the optimal time to harvest wheat is September, let's say, then in September, the price of wheat is typically going to be low because all the farmers who are growing wheat are harvesting wheat at that time and they're all selling it. So there's a big supply, which means that the price is going to drop. And then, in the winter and the spring, when there's not much wheat available, the prices go up again. So you could kind of play some strategy to time when you sell your crops and everything, and it wasn't just a random price fluctuation like it is in the base game. So, and then in the winter, any crops that you haven't harvested yet would die. Some crops you could plant in the fall, like winter wheat, for example, you could plant in the fall and it would survive through the winter, and then you could harvest it in the early summer. But if you plant at the wrong time or you don't harvest at the right time, you could lose your crop because of weather effects, which made it interesting. And you also grass didn't grow in the winter either. And grass bales would rot with seasons. So when you were taking care of cows, at least in 17, cows required fresh grass to get to 100% productivity. So in the winter, you just couldn't get to 100% because there's no grass available. You would have to wait for the spring for the grass to grow again. So it was just it's a very interesting mod, and I know that they're working on it. Realissimus Modding is the group of guys and maybe gals too. I don't know if there's any gals on the team as well, but they're the ones that are working on that mod. So if anyone from Realissimus is watching this, thank you very much, and really looking forward to giving Seasons a shot in FS19. It's going to be great. Okay, well, we're getting closer. I've had to refill the seeder once already with fertilizer, and it looks like I may have to do so again before we finish. But that's a good sign. That means I'm going to have lots of crop to harvest. Okay, what else can we do? Let's see if there's any good contracts, since I'm kind of hard up for money right now. Not really. There's really nothing. I mean, how come I never... I see other Let's Players, and I see lots of contracts for 10, 15, $20,000. Seems like they get them all the time. Maybe it's just because